Hello and welcome back to FantasyFootballFix.com, the leading platform to help you improve your rank, increase your chances of winning your mini leagues, and overall build that team value. And in today's episode of the latest in our series of price changes videos, we're going to be covering the budget forwards, who's the best option out of some of those, having a look at some of the more premium defenders who could be on the rise tonight, and also assessing all the latest in other price rises and price fallers that are going to be going on. If you've got any questions for any of our FPL experts and presenters, drop them down in the comments below. As always with my videos, I will be replying to all of them on my personal channel, which you can also check out by seeing the link down in the description. But without further ado, let's jump into it, see what's happening today, and see if we can help you price change your way into that top 10k. So here we are in the Fantasy Football Fix price change predictor, and we can see quite a lot of movement happening so far this week in terms of price changes, those going up and those going down. I appreciate it's quite small to see, so I am going to read out the names of the most key players who I've got starred and added to my watch list. Foden still yet to undergo his price rise up to 8.2. He is at 104% progress, however, and rising at 1% per hour, so that's looking very likely to happen tonight. Chilwell, James, Cancelo also look likely to happen a few days ago, but are still yet to undergo their price change, which could also again happen tonight. Mendy, Laporte, and Toney are the newest ones into the mix, with Toney one that we're going to be deep diving into in a minute, and having a look at some of the other alternatives up front, because there are quite a few in that budget striker role that me and lots of other people are considering downgrading to in order to fund moves like a Son in game week 12 later on in the future. In terms of fallers, there's not too many to note. Ronaldo's still yet to undergo his price change. He's over here on page 2. And if we flip back, we can see that Bamford and Grealish are amongst those looking to drop in price. Grealish is beyond the 100% threshold at minus 100.7, but Bamford is only just at 100% and is dropping at 0.1% per hour. Grealish at 0.2% per hour. So big chances that they could both drop tonight. But yeah, realistically, not many people are considering taking Grealish out if you own him. No one's considering bringing in Bamford right now. So that covers today's movements in terms of price and what could happen, but it is always important to note that price changes are not an exact science and can alter very quickly in a matter of moments. Not only does Fantasy Football Fix not always get it 100% correct, but also prices can change all the way towards the end of the day, as price changes occur actually in themselves very early in the morning. So obviously these videos are coming out and being recorded a bit earlier in the day at 5:30. The information, as always, is correct to that time. So let's move into and have a bit of a deeper dive into Toney and some of the budget forwards using some of the brilliant features that the Fantasy Football Fix website has to offer. So as mentioned, I said that I wanted to have a bit of a closer look in regards to Toney and some other budget forward alternatives that could be offered and could be options around at the moment that people are considering moving to, as I said, for example, in order to fund higher price premiums in defence and in midfield. And there are quite a few at the moment with Kane and Vardy, other premiums like Ronaldo and Lukaku still not delivering the points totals. Obviously Lukaku through injury, but Ronaldo looking at a United team that looks awful, to be honest. Vardy and Kane, Vardy could have a knock. Kane, it just looks within that Spurs team, they've got one of the worst expected goal stats in the league. So no one's too keen to hop on any of those and commit quite a large proportion of their budget to those high expensive forwards. And going for a midfield premium and really quite premium defence does seem to be the best tactic for the moment, at least. So with these three forwards, I've picked the three that I think I would be considering if I was going for a budget forward, for example, downgrading like a Kane or a Vardy this week. And yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be moving out Kane, but if Vardy turns out to be injured, this could be my list of alternatives. Realistically, I may as well be making up my decision right now for if Vardy does actually turn out to be ruled out. And so Toney, I've put up against Broja and Hwang, as you can see, and this is using the fixed comparison matrix over at FantasyFootballFix.com, which is a fantastic tool. You can put in all the selected stats that you want to show, choose a game week period itself, and I've chosen to do it from when Broja started because I felt that although it's a very small sample size, only 2 game weeks, it does give the best opportunity to see and compare for real. I appreciate that Toney's not been in the best form during that time, and as shown, he's only scored 4 FPL points over this time, whilst Broja scored 16 and Hwang scored 10. But you can also add in lots of more in-depth statistics that I wanted to have a look at down here. And Broja does seem to be topping quite a lot of them. I do like the look of how he's looking. Obviously, there is a concern with him that there could be a minor knock to him as well, and so the Southampton man may miss out on game week 10, which wouldn't be ideal at all. In terms of Hwang, he seems to be the most likely to start and actually to deliver something quite substantial if you're looking for someone who is in the best form. However, I do think that Toney, with those Brentford fixtures, is the number one option for me, and he's had the most attempted assists over the last 2 game weeks, despite the fact that he's not been delivering. With Mbeumo out, that is something to consider, that it could potentially harm his returns in terms of assists and creativity. In terms of FPL points per million, it's Broja that comes in on top, as same he does for shots on target, shots overall, and touches in the opposition box. He's way ahead with 15, but Toney is in second with 10. Hwang, interestingly enough, has only had 3 touches in the opposition box within the last 2 games. Could that have been affected by Jimenez not being on the pitch for the majority of game week 9? Or game week 8 rather, and really, could that be a factor? But Hwang has looked pretty good anyway. He's clearly been quite clinical then. Only 1 shot on target and 2 shots overall. Toney's still beating him in terms of shots and shots on target. So I think that makes Toney the best option, especially with those Brentford fixtures and Mbeumo looking like he could be an injury doubt. Toney, going for him this week, seems to be a very sensible option for those who haven't already brought him in and are looking to hop on a Brentford asset. So yeah, that's going to round it up for when we're talking about the budget forwards. Let's move into having a bit of a deeper look at some of the players who seem to be changing in price tonight. And namely, I did want to touch on some defenders and their projected points over the next couple of game weeks. A lot of defenders seem to be moving up, more specifically than down in price at the moment, including Cancelo, Laporte, Chilwell, James. These are players we touched on in the first section of the video, and I want to compare them specifically with each other and have a bit of a look and compare defenders of different teams to see if the best is necessarily the one who looks the best on paper, i.e. Cancelo actually has a lower projected points total over the next 6 game weeks than Laporte does. Laporte in third, only behind Alexander-Arnold, obviously, and Diaz. And then Robertson is down in 4th with Cancelo in 5th. So yeah, despite this, it's only a very, very small margin. There's 0.3 difference in projected points between Laporte and Cancelo, and the exact projected points total for game week 10. The only time they drop below 4 even is in game week 11. Other defenders include Rudiger, and I wanted to have a look and in the context of Rudiger amongst other Chelsea defenders, and we can see that Thiago Silva's even quite high up in the projected points totals. And you can't see Chilwell or James anywhere near here, which is very interesting. A lot of this can be to do with projected points total and projected starts, rather, in terms of players who actually may not be as nailed on, might not make the projected lineups for some game weeks, and that will obviously hinder their projected point score for that week by quite some distance. For example, Reece James is perhaps a bit of a doubt to start in game week 10, so that might hinder his actual score, bringing him down to like 2 points or whatever the average is from a 0-pointer or a 1-pointer if he plays to what could be potentially a good haul. I still, despite think this, that Chilwell and James are the best 2 Chelsea defenders. It is interesting to see, though, that the projected points do seem to favour more of the nailed defenders on the whole. In terms of projected points, they actually put together the Algorithm 11 team, and I will be, funnily enough, bringing you that video tomorrow on the Eddie versus the Algorithm series, and so it's a nice segue into plugging that video a bit. It's one hell of a game week 9. We had me and the Algorithm, a very, very, very tight game week, so you're going to want to be tuning in to see that video tomorrow. Obviously, the Algorithm uses these projected points totals to put together its team, and at the moment I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well against it. I'm pleased with how I'm doing, and hopefully we can continue that run going into game week 10. So that is going to wrap it up for tonight's FPL price changes prediction video. Hopefully it's been helpful. If it has, leave a comment down below, and also give me some feedback on my presenting and other things that you'd like to see in the series, or even anywhere on the Fantasy Football Fix channel. We're always willing to hear any kind of feedback. Just try and make it constructive. That would be nice, but everyone so far has been, so I don't know why I would even need to give a disclaimer of that. But thank you everyone for tuning in. If you have enjoyed the video, do leave a like down below. As I mentioned at the start of the video, you can find a link to my channel, FPL Phillips, down in the description if you want to see a bit more of me, and check out my most recent video, a team selection for game week 10. But that is going to round it up for tonight. I hope you have the best of weeks, and I'll be back tomorrow with that Eddie versus Dialgo video for you all. So thank you very much. Have a good night. Goodbye.